since there, if these effects, this effects is theory. Since the effects is theory mentions like time dilation or length contraction, length curvature in the real world, are there such things? Exclamation mark. These are only the result of the distortion of perception due to motion and the fact that we use light to observe the world. Light is a great medium for this end, but it is limited because of several reasons like its speed or the size of its element when it is used for observing very fast things, SR, or very small things, QM. We still need these values in absolute sense using Galilean transformation. We still know these values in absolute sense using Galilean transformations. Yeah, but how do you obtain these values? Oh God, exclamation mark. The error is the difference between the Galilean transformations and the Einstein transformations for SR. But we need to create a pre-relativity, Beton, question mark, transformations for acceleration, rotation, or revolution, since Galileo did it only for linear motion, question mark, and calculate the difference. But how can you obtain the real Galilean values since you use light to observe the world, question mark? So even SR and PR are incomplete and are part of psychology really, and we need to add a theory or step to infer the Galilean values in the world. The greater the relative speed, the greater the error. QM. Heisenberg and Schrödinger, Bohr, Born, Dirac, Einstein, etc. just tells us the probability of finding an electron in certain orbit inside the atom. Usually only a very small atoms since it gets too complex, plus you ignore the effect of different electrons on each other and only consider the electron-nucleus interaction. This is similar to the fact that you only consider the planet-Earth interaction in the cosmos. The reason is that otherwise you have a many-body interaction instead of only two-body, and this problem Newton held to be beyond his abilities, like I said before. Though recently some physicists have made progress in this area, but what new techniques are applied to our world should also apply to the macroscopic SR and the microscopic QM as well, since they think that it is not possible to know the exact location of electrons in space as demonstrated by their so-called slit experiment or the duality of light experiment, and also the famous uncertainty relation of Heisenberg, his Nobel Prize, which states that you cannot know the position and momentum of a particle or wave completely at the same time. The more accurately that you are able to measure one, then the less accurately you are able to measure the other. This is from page 12. So we're about halfway there. Is the fallacy that you make, is that like that the case of relativity theory, that this is really psychology, not physics, question mark? A limitation of our perception and not a limitation of the world itself. And the reason of the fallacy is that light is limited in allowing us to observe very small objects like electrons, just like light is limited in allowing us to observe very fast moving objects or accelerating under a force objects in the theory of relativity. Really, Einstein is right. God does not play dice with the universe, or usually, contrary to QM. The world out there is not ruled by probability as physicists believe, but it is only that we lack full knowledge of the world and we rely on light, which is limited usefulness in revealing the world to us. Electrons can be known in orbit of nucleus just as much as planets can be known in orbit out of this orbit of the sun, except that we use light. But light is great when you observe microscopic things moving slowly or objects that are big enough. For example, we don't see faraway stars, since the light from them takes millions of years to arrive at our eyes, let alone if it is annihilated on the way because it loses its energy or on such a long journey, or the gravity of some star does not deflect it on another direction away from us. I think physicists didn't consider this before Einstein. Even Hubert Reeves didn't mention this when he considered why our planet is not too hot or the sky is not full of white light. For microscopic objects, it may be necessary to use the wave of subatomic particles that has been discovered recently, like quarks or leptons or maybe gluon wave instead of a wave of photons. Some of these may be smaller than even photons and are charged, so carry an EM wave as well. Maybe even there is another medium that can be used, and if we can't use it, then maybe machines can be built and can be used and then reveal the results to us by a suitable transformation. Supernode, oh God, exclamation mark. Einstein is tricky, exclamation mark. The general theory of relativity psychology, that is, its essence really, in essence really, the theory of relativity accepts the pre-relativity mechanics of Newton's mass and Maxwell charges and magnets views, but now takes into consideration the fact that light is used to observe the world, unlike Galileo. Really, it is divided into two major cases: linear motion, which is based on inertia, no force of any kind in SR, and nonlinear motion of force in GR, question mark.